Hey fellas. So, earlier today I finally saw Ghostbusters Afterlife. I just decided it would be able to be now or never, and I gotta say, I absolutely loved it. And I gotta say, given what I put in brackets, aren't gonna be any major spoilers in this video for the movie. Hey, if I'm talking about something, it's only gonna be relevant to this review, who, who and how it's gonna relate to the premise. However, before I do that, as per usual, good way to run it by is to see and just let you know what I thought of the other movies. Like the first one, obviously, is an all-time classic. And even like someone who was born in the '90s, he definitely has a fascination for that. It definitely was one that was definitely was carried by his cast and his creative team. The second '89 plays a bit similarly, but as I saw before, there's just something because I saw them about the same time when I was 8, and just something I've never been able to say no to about the finale, where they're piloting the Statue of Liberty as like a giant mecha with a Nintendo controller. If that's not like a personification of the '80s in itself, I don't know what is. And as for the last movie they have a few years back, heck, I didn't have any beef with it then. I still don't. I don't mean, but I will say this: I can file both that one and the second one I just mentioned under the category of contested sequel. And I didn't contribute much to discourse then, and about what I felt with what I could, and I still don't feel I need to right now that we have this one. So let's start. Okay, so oh, this movie, which is the fourth one overall in the franchise, and is takes place chronologically after the events of the second film in 1989, and with the other parts of the franchise being in alternate continuities, where the descendants of Egon Spengler are played respectively by Carrie Hoon, Grace McKenna, and Van Wolfhard inherit his old farm in Summerville, Oklahoma, and not only discover their, their his past as a Ghostbuster, but also are tasked as to help defend their world from Gozer one last time in this meeting of old and new, which symbolically it represents passing a torch from the last generation to the old one. I know. Oh, I won't get into too much detail beyond what's relevant to this discussion review, but this is basically what they've been trying to do for years now. They had been basically trying to do this concept in some capacity for decades, and it was at least in previous incarnations the original idea. Uh, Effectively, they die with Ramus, and I especially like how they wrote that at into the story, basically made it the heart of the narrative, because Egon was always my favorite character in the series growing up. The one I definitely saw the most of myself in both in the movies as well as in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, and also the late Extreme Ghostbusters that I tend to be familiar with, where he was actually a mentor of the new team. And yes, he was only half joking when he said that he collects molds, spores, and fungus. And yeah, so basically, this is rife with Easter eggs, not just to the other movies, but the entire franchise up to this point, close to it, man. What I mean, they even worked in elements from like the video game, which use all elements of previous drafts of script, and basically use the voice and likenesses of the main cast. And so they just put out a remaster of that not too long ago. I have not played it yet, but I've been wanting to for a while. I'll just have to think about whether I want to get on Switch or PS4. Or, and with that in mind, I mean, it's definitely not only one made as a love letter to its fans, but also Jason Reitman's doing this as a tribute to the late cast member, as well as his for all his work. I mean, the script he wrote with Gil Keenan is definitely the ideal blend and of of tribute, humor, and heart. I mean, even though Keenan was involved with films he did not previously care for, I will not hold that against him, as I stated before. I mean, because it comes off a lot like the movie he's always wanted to write, and it shows. I mean, and even though Finn and Wolfhard's character isn't quite as crafty as he is in Stranger Things or the It remakes, or even the first Addams Family reboot for that matter, if you want someone who can play that kind of a role, you call him. And I definitely am enjoying Paul Rudd as the goofy middle school science teacher, where he basically fills a similar role that Rick Moranis' character did in the original movies, where he's well intentioned, but he is indirectly responsible for some of the incidents that happen. I won't be going into too much detail, but he is involved with finding out that's not just like a replica ghost trap, but the real deal. He'll and also discovering like the mini puffs. I mean, I will say there's a bit more than we saw in the ads, and they did indeed make good on their aim for Sony to have their own answer to Grogu or young Sonic, and with some elements of what happens after you feed the gremlins after midnight. I mean, like the fact that they eat each other into s'mores, that's pretty dark, I'll admit. Yeah. I was also wondering how Jason would adapt this kind of movie, given how he, compared to his father Ivan Reitman, has done a lot more offbeat comedy works as Thank You for Smoking and Juno, as mentioned before, but he actually does it pretty well when he's given $75 million to work with, which it's definitely, and also kind of like how when they do CGI, they use it in a way that doesn't aesthetically clash with what's happened in the other movies or with the practical effects work, which it reminds me a lot of what they do in Max Fury Road and all these new Star Wars movies as well, where it's like the ideal meeting of old and new. I mean, you know what I mean? Where I mean, it's like basically, and also I'm not gonna get hit into too much spoilery detail here, but let's just say that I'm just gonna say that don't be surprised you end up feeling a little misty eyed when you leave the theater after this. I mean, it was yet another movie that was going to be coming out last summer before everything happened, and I can definitely say that it's even though this may not be my favorite film of the year, it's definitely joined the list. So my final rating is 4 out of 4, and now comes a riff on some coming attractions. Okay, so Encanto is still looking quite magnifico. Oh, where and as for what they're claiming about the X-Men similarities, I guess this also kind of answers the question if they wanted to make a female led spin-off and a musical at that. I mean, which I insinuated that you would all you have to do is make the Frozen movies. We want to go that route. With me pointing out how the similarities between Rogue and Anna, as well as also basically being a Distaff Iceman, perhaps Roberta Bobby Drake with an I, kind of. And I've actually heard it's very good. I mean, like, granted, I like the last collaboration that the Mouse had with Lin-Manuel Miranda and Moana. Has all the same writers and animators involving that as well. So, even though I'm kind of really occupied, I'll most likely catch it when it comes on Disney Plus. I mean, like, same deal with it. I'm gonna have to bump my spoiler review of Eternals to January because I just found out the change schedule for when that's going to be dropping the site again. So, just heads up is all. Yeah. All right. Spider-Man No Way Home. Tickets gonna be going on sale for that on Monday. Hey, I'll definitely see what I can do to get the cash for that. Man, especially given how it'll be great me to find a seat after I get my booster. Like bringing in and the Rose Gallery of not just this continuity, but also the previous two ones I can handle. Omicron's gonna be something else, and especially, hey, given how once again bringing back like the Alpha Molina Doctor Octopus has contributed yet more memes in this newest one, as well as the subsequent TV spots. My contribution involves with my favorite standalone films, the second Raimi one, Mr. Aziz, who is I just now found out was actually the actual correspondent Steve Mondovy. You're not Peter Parker. You're late, man. Always late. Yeah. I think that we're going to be having some fun with this and whatever else that I've got planned with Phase 4 and 5. And whoever's going to be wearing the mask next, I definitely am eager to see how it turns out. Yeah. And also, Scene 2 second trailer, I guess, is a bit better than the previous trailer was, but to someone who did not really have any major opinion on the like a lot of people like the first one. There are some who did not. I just thought it was kind of there. And it's basically the same exact emotional state. It got now like not love, not dislike or hate, but indifference. I will say this: every time I see it, it makes me excited for the fact that The Matrix Resurrections and The King's Man will be opening at the same time, both of which I'm more interested in. And like Taron Egerton as a gorilla who's doing Cirque du Soleil, I guess doesn't really stand out as me as much as as Neo and Trinity coming back for the first time in almost 20 years, and I take a World War One that's definitely not the most accurate, but it should still be entertaining at the very least. Yeah. Okay. And Moonfall, February 4th. I had no formal opinion on this one. I'm on it's like any other Roland Emmerich movie where here it's definitely got a lot of explosions, and then a picture of an action, and then the plot is basically written more or less like a B movie, but it has like the production values of a modern blockbuster. I have, however, been amused by the Majora's Mask jokes I've been seeing online, and I've been taking part in it as well. I'm honestly more excited for that coming in the next wave in Tusk 4 Online, whenever that might be. Hey, anyway, it's this was definitely an interesting one, and I'm gonna be mostly doing things here as I work on finishing my class, getting my booster for next week. I'm at least a third of the way done with my Shang-Chi spoiler review. You should see that fairly soon. And I will talk to you all later.